Hi everyone, welcome to the bizfinder podcast. Today we have Jonathan Gonsalves. He's from India. We went to school together, I think for 10 plus years. He's an entrepreneur, has a large network. He's done a lot of things in his life, and today we're here to kind of learn more about you and what you do in Dubai. So go ahead, tell us some more about yourself.
God bless. I've born and raised in Dubai. Did my school here. Did a bit in London, did a bit in India, but the entirety of my life I spent in Dubai, and I think that attributes to a lot of my successes in business, in my personal relationships, and in my self journey. Because I feel like Dubai is the best place to be able to network, and it's the best place to. It attributes to being successful if you take the right tools and use them for your benefit.
Yeah. No, that's fair. What are some of the businesses that you also operate within UAE or even outside the country?
So my family businesses are basically import-export, logistics, gold and diamonds. We also have a few properties here that we manage and rent out ourselves. And my main business currently that I'm focusing on, that I'm putting 100% on, is basically, it's a property development company where I'm focusing more where I come from in Goa. So I'm just focusing on commercial and residential real estate there.
Yeah.
So I have a few plots of land, more than like 50,000 square meters of land.
Yeah.
So my whole plan is just to develop that in the next 5 to 6 years, and then use that money for.
And how did like the whole kind of your business landscape start for you? Like when did it start? What age? When did you get into all of this?
I mean, I had a really amazing father. To be honest, he self-made man, came from nothing, ended up in Dubai when he was in his early 20s, and then he made himself up to be a multi-millionaire. And was the general manager of this big MNC called Thompson General Trading.
Nice.
And then he went on to do his own stuff. And he kind of mentored me when I was young, like when I was 12 or 13. He would always take me to his meetings. I would listen to him on the phone calls, on conference calls, etc., etc., etc. My father had ran for the election in Goa in 2012. And I think I was like 12 years old, and I was helping him with this campaign there. So, basically what I want to say is I want to attribute, or I want to give thanks to my father for basically pushing me, even though I didn't think I needed it at that time, but I'm grateful now at this age,
No, it's really good to see, like, you started off at a young age and you're kind of able to take that forward. I think one very interesting aspect about you is obviously the network. We've seen some of the Instagram photos, we've seen, all the stories. I want to ask, is this networking thing is something you worked on on an individual level? How'd you get into that aspect?
It's a good question, because I always get this. A lot of people always ask me, how can I do it like you? And I think a good percentage of it is natural. I don't think you can learn how to network with people in terms of being organic, right?
Yeah.
In Dubai, in a place like Dubai, especially being a business hub in the world, and having the most amount of millionaires, the most amount of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
It's very hard to organically connect with someone, because here it's always sell. So with me, I always try to connect with people on a personal level more than a business or money-making relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas, a lot of people will sit with you and think, okay, how can I make money with you, or how can I make money off you?
Yeah.
Whereas with me, it's, I don't know, bro. I feel like it's something I've fine-tuned, right? It's not something that I was born with, of course. And if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
I just think the most important thing with networking is it has to come organically,
Yeah.
Like I've for example, 3 days ago, I was at Atlantis Royal, and I saw this singer called AP Delon.
Yes.
All right. I walked up to him. I said hi to him. One of his managers said, "No, please," and I left.
Yeah.
But I've done this like 10 times, and out of 10 times, maybe I'll fail twice. And it's okay. Like I was just before we started this podcast, I was telling my other friend, if you don't try, you're never gonna know.
For sure. No, that's 100%. But then, you're speaking about some of the principles of networking and, what you kind of apply on a daily basis to find and meet these people. How do you go about not looking opportunistic? Like you feel like you want to not take them for granted or take them for money.
That's the thing, bro. I think it comes, like, when I say it comes very organically, right? It's because I was born here. So a lot of my friends I met growing up in school, growing up in university, on games, like I met a good chunk of my really good friends on playing Counter-Strike, and that would only happen in a place like Dubai, because if I was playing Counter-Strike in England, I would think twice about meeting some random guy online.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But coming back to your question, I think it always should happen organically. You play the cards you're dealt with.
Yeah.
You don't try to take anyone else's cards, because I know, like, for example, between two people, right? And two of them are completely different, but in the same field, right? If you're friends with that guy, stick with that guy. You don't have to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Play the cards you're dealt with.
Yeah. No, 100%. And then what are some of the mistakes you've learned from when it came to networking? Like, or maybe something major that's happened to you where you're like, you know what? We live and learn and we got to move on past this.
I don't think I've had I don't think I've had many failures when it comes to making like the networking, because the way I do it is it's very natural, right? And the thing I've learned from other people is I don't want to ever sell. If I sit with you, like for example, if I meet you for the first time, Momo, and I'm sitting with you and all I'm doing is selling, it becomes like a fish market, right? Whereas if I connect with you, I can ask you about your family, I ask you about your mom, I ask you about your struggle, I ask you about that, and I try to relate to you. It's a much better icebreaker than just talking about what businesses we can do together, what money we can do. Now, a lot of people say you shouldn't do businesses with your friends. I disagree with that. I do business with a lot of my friends, but I met them as friends first.
Okay.
I built that relationship as friends, and we got to a point where I could trust this guy 100%, and he could trust me 100% to involve ourselves in each other's businesses.
So you kind of started evolving your relationships into becoming not just friends, but moving on to becoming business partners. And you did this with, let's say, like some of the celebrities that you've met as well.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, for example, and Tristan, we were in Goa with one of my. I was in Goa with two of my friends, and I got on a call saying these guys are coming to Dubai, and if there's anything we can propose them, let's do it. And two of my business partners were with me, and then we had come up with a proposal of like $5 million to sit and present to Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and that was my first initial thing. And I mean, see, I sat down on that table, right, at Milos in Atlantis, and we were talking about our business proposal, and that was a very interesting thing. But I think the thing that took my relationship with them to the next level is when I called up another friend of mine that they wanted to meet very dearly, and they're also multi-billionaires in Dubai, and on a phone call on the dinner table the next day they were invited to their house to have lunch. So I think that aspect of me picking up the phone and making that call is what made an impression on them about me. Not that I proposed them $5 million. These guys make $5-6 million a month. So it's not the money aspect. It's that organic personal touch.
So you're able to, and based on your network, you're able to kind of connect two and two together and like just bring it. And that's what's really helped you kind of evolve this whole network into something so massive. And I think what we see on Instagram.
Definitely it attributes to that, because in a place like Dubai, a lot of people always need something, right? Like Kamaro, for example, I met him randomly in a lobby of a hotel, but I spoke to him for 5 minutes. He gave me his WhatsApp number. We were talking. I connected him to a few good people, and from there my relationship developed with him in a personal level where I have him on WhatsApp. I'm sorting him out for a holiday in Maldives next year.
Wow,
so
nice.
like it's always organic. And it could have been a different UFC star. It could have been a different influencer, and they could have had bad energy, right? But if I didn't try, I wouldn't know.
You would have worked around it the same way, basically.
Yeah, but that was a funny story, because I was actually at dinner at One Zabil, which is like 5 minutes away from here, and I had left early because I was so tired that week. I was getting home at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I told all my boys, I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave a bit early and head home. And I went to the lobby to get my car, and two minutes later, like these two African Americans guys, they just walk into the lobby, and like Kamaro, I'm like, okay, that looks like Kamaro Usman, right? But I'm like nervous. I'm like, bro, I don't want to come up to him and be like, are you Kamaro? Just because he's like an African guy or anything like that. So I went on Instagram and I looked up that he was in Dubai, so that was the first green tick, right? But still, it was in my mind. I was like, fuck, and I kept pacing up and down before going up to him. And the last green tick was like he had the same phone cover on his phone with the SIM card stuck there. So I just walked up to him. I was like, "You're Kamaro, right?"
Yeah.
And I walked up to him. I said, "You're Kamaro." And then, so the way I broke the ice with him is I showed him a picture of another UFC star I hosted 2 days ago prior to that. It was also very close to him. So that kind of like, let him put his guard down. And then that's when
it almost became personal at that point.
So that's when I connected with him on WhatsApp, and then we just developed a proper relationship.
So I think you've mentioned quite a few people already, but before I move into detail with that, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the landscape in Dubai and how important Dubai has been in you building this network. So what makes Dubai unique to network, like in comparison to, let's say, a New York or even a Los Angeles, because Los Angeles is,
it's a perfect question, because I was literally talking to Kamaro about this 2 days ago in my car, and when you see these guys, like these guys are super successful in their own fields, whether it's music, whether it's fighting, whether it's business, whether it's X, Y, Z, and I think Dubai is the only place where they'll walk around alone. Whereas in New York or Miami or London,
They're
they
always
have
with-
their managers, they have their assistants, they have their security. So I think a place like Dubai, it really helps you to kind of connect with these people. Like for example, man, I always sit at Atlantis Royale. Yeah, I'm there
Yeah.
like every day almost for breakfast, for lunch, whatever. I have a meeting after this
Yeah.
at Atlantis again.
Yeah.
In the last 1 week, I've seen 3 billionaires there.
Wow.
Sitting next to my table, you know, just
And you can just
having
openly
a
talk to them
breakfast,
if you want
having
to.
coffee, no security, nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so if you know what you're, you know, if you know what you're looking for, bro, it's very easy to get
Yeah.
that.
So I guess the one attribute is safety when it comes
Safety
to
is
Dubai.
a big attribute.
Because they're not around anyone, you can just easily go and
Yeah,
talk
whereas
to them.
if you were in their own country, like for example in Mumbai or like in India or in Pakistan or in London, they're surrounded by security, man. Like, you know, they're just it's very hard to get them
Yeah.
on a personal level. Whereas if I came to you, like let's say you were a superstar, right? It would be easier for me to connect with you than to connect with your manager.
Yeah.
Whereas your manager would be like a professional relationship,
Yeah.
whereas instead of a personal relationship.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think in Dubai as well, since COVID, I feel like we've seen, you know, a bunch of millionaires, a bunch of billionaires also moving into the city.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think networking has been essential for you, your businesses, to getting new customers, meeting new, you know, getting a new market?
A lot of people want to come here, right? I was talking to Shaquille O'Neal on a Zoom call a few days ago, and he was telling me, or essentially talking to us about how he wants to move here because it's not as safe in America anymore. So I think post-COVID, the way Dubai or UAE dealt with that situation was magnificent. The surrounding they've created for people like me and you or anyone from that aspect is safety. You know, you're allowed to know what your children are learning. You're allowed to walk on the street with a Rolex, with your watch, with your phone, without it getting snatched or without your hand getting chopped off. So I think it does attribute to that because a lot of people want to come here. But the thing about that is that they need to meet the right people.
Yeah.
You know, because Dubai is a place where everyone's a hustler. You get me? So before
Everyone's
meeting the
trying to
right
make it.
person, you meet 10 wrong people.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think Dubai has become such a globally diverse city as well, where like now it's just everyone. It's not just like millionaires, billionaires. They're from everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, coming from America. They're coming from China, and you could just get to meet like anyone. Some of the figures you've met, like Andrew and Tristan, you know, they have this like negative perception that we've obviously seen, and this image that they have online. Did you feel a certain way before, you know, going into a meeting with them, or did you think it would look bad on you because you're meeting with them and, you know, hanging around with them?
I mean, not really, bro. I really was concentrating on doing business with them. That was my main aspect. With their personal views, I agree with a lot of what they say. I disagree with also a lot of what they say. But in reality, they're not those people. You know, they're really nice people. They're really nice guys. They're human beings like me and you. You know, everyone does or behaves a certain way in front of a camera, in front of this or that. Because at the end of the day, bro, if you look at the West, if you look at what's happening in Europe, if you look what's happening in America in the last few days, it's crazy how insane it's getting, you know. And if you look at a place like Dubai or UAE, where it's exactly what family, core values, peace, safety, you know, you're not getting shot randomly on the street, you know. So I think in regards to my personal relationship with them, usually it's with Andrew, it was to do with business, and then we became friends. So it was never, oh, do I care? Do I do this? Do I do that? It was straight business. We talked, we proposed them a business plan, and we're still in the works of it. But it was business, then it became personal. Because one of my dear friends, Ansh, he shot a podcast with them in Romania. So he was the first Indian to shoot a podcast with them in Romania. So through him, I was introduced to Andrew and Tristan on a phone call.
So did anything about their personality surprise you in any way, in person, in comparison to what you've seen online?
No, necessarily not to me, because I've always been around really successful and great individuals, you know. So I always know that it's always something for someone else. But in person, they're really nice people. You know, they talk to you. They're respectful. I've met them maybe like more than 5-6 times in Dubai. Or dinner, coffee, everything, you know. And I've always had like a good relationship with them. I talk to them on WhatsApp. That's how personal it is. You know?
So, you know, you were with the Tate brothers quite a few times. So they have a huge personal brand online. They have the Hustlers University. There's so many things that they do. What learning did you take from them, or what teachings did you take from them to apply to your own personal brand?
And from those meetings, I really learned that, you know, if you set aside your ego and you set aside a few other personal things about yourself, you could really do a lot. Because at the end of the day, if you're not adding value, there's no point in any relationship, you know, whether it's friends, whether it's girlfriends, whether it's your wife, whether it's X, Y, Z. if you're not adding value or compounding to that relationship, there's nothing left to add to it. You know, you get left behind.
Yeah. So it's all about
adding value, bro. You just have to add value, constantly add value. Not in terms of like making money. You just have to add value in whatever way you can, you know, whether it's helping him do something better, helping his personality,
or meeting other people.
Going
Like
to the
that's
gym,
I think
meeting other
that's
people.
your speciality as well, right?
You know, so it's always about adding value to people.
When you meet someone like, you know, the Tate brothers, I mean, we've seen them everywhere. There's probably, I think in 2023, Tate was probably the most Googled man alive, right? Yeah. When you meet people like them, are you just having an actual, let's say, natural interaction with them, or are you taking like mental notes in your head and you're like, you know, it's a constant like note taking?
See, to me, I met them as, like I said, it was a professional setting and then it became a personal setting. So to me, they're just normal people, you know? And I'll tell you why it was weird to me. When that whole thing happened, all my posts and everything, they went viral. And that segment of like videos and pictures at dinner or at my friend's house, it garnered over 100 million impressions online.
Oh, wow.
To the point I was confused. Like there was a chef in an airport in Goa that was texting me saying, "Oh, is this you, by the way?" And like, you know, that's when I knew that you know, it was like a big thing, because a lot of people were messaging me like, "Is this you? What is this? What is that?" You know, and it kind of didn't hit me, not because I wasn't fazed by it. It's just because, bro, they're normal people. Like, you know, like if I look at them at that angle, then my relationship with them will never be personal. Yeah.
What's one very like notable conversation you had which you would want to share on this podcast right now?
He told me something that was really important in work and personal life and whatever. Is that you got to make time, man. Like, you know, relationships, family, friends, business, whatever. You need to make time, because people only do business with people they like. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And if I don't make time for you, if I don't show up for you when you need me, if I don't answer or reply back to you in a certain time, it ruins the relationship. You know? And I feel like that was a very important thing for me, because the most successful people in the world reply back to me in an hour, you know? So if someone that's doing nothing in their life takes a day to reply, it just shows they don't value that relationship as much.
No, 100%. Maybe we can talk about Bacha. So Bacha is a rapper. I'm pretty sure you like his music.
He's a rapper and a businessman. He's one of the amazing guys. I met him one time at dinner at Zuma. We were there for like 3 or 4 hours before he left to America. But what a guy. Genuine, smart. I learned a lot from that.
So before you met him, did you listen to his music at all?
Yes, of course I listened to his music.
Okay, so, you know, being a fan of him already, when you first met him, how did you kind of stop yourself from, you know, that fangirl situation?
That wasn't my first interaction with him. My first interaction was when Ansh put me on a phone call with him in the gym. So Ansh basically, for all the people that are watching, is one of my best friends who's more than 10 years older than me. But I've always had nothing but good things to say about him, and he's always connected me to the nicest people and the nicest personalities, and vice versa. So my first interaction with Bacha was on a phone call at the gym, and then he had flown down to Dubai, where we all had dinner at Zuma a week ago, and it wasn't really like an interaction where I sat down as a fan, because at the end of the day I saw Bacha as a businessman, as a successful entrepreneur, as a successful artist, right? If I sat down as a fan, that would again not make my relationship personal with them. So the biggest takeaway from that was when I sat down, he already knew me about me. He knew what I was capable of doing, and I just sat down on a dinner table and I was asking as many questions as I could, because when you're as successful in that field, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's MMA, whether it's business, you always need to ask questions, you know, because, bro, the more questions you ask these type of people is more you learn from. And no school or university will ever teach you that, because you know the experience, the struggle, the life they've had to live to be at that top, it's insane, you know. You can't learn that on a fucking textbook.
So based on that, what's the most personal advice he gave you? Based on his career, his fame, He
said something really impressionable to me. He said if your relationships aren't compounding like your businesses, it's not worth being in that relationship. Not in terms of girlfriends or whatever. Like personal relationships to your friends. If you guys
relationships and
adding value to each other, if there's nothing of substance in that relationship, and I agree to it to some extent, bro, because I think your surroundings is very important, who you surround yourself with, because you could be surrounded by a few people that think this is the limit, right? When in reality, knowledge or life is limitless. What you know is limited. Life is limitless, right? And if you have 4 of your best friends saying this is it, this is all you can reach, you yourself psychologically will never think you can do better than that.
No, for sure. So are you saying you apply this to even, let's say, your friend, like your closest circle? You try to have a value. Of
course, I apply this to my closest circle, because I feel like I was in a point in my life a few years ago where I was like contempt with life. I wasn't as ambitious until I met one of my really close friends Lowen, he kind of pushed me a bit because when I met him, he's a self-made guy from France, runs a big tech startup, does 50 million a year. And before meeting him, I was kind of stuck in this weird place where I was okay with my friends and I wasn't as ambitious. I was content with whatever money I was making. I was making decent money. I was living a decent life. I didn't have to worry about anything. And I wasn't like driven to do better, you know, until I met him. And I never said it to him before. I'm going to say it on your podcast and I'll send him this clip later on. But I thank him a lot for that because he really pushed me to be more than I could have, you know, because I saw him driven. Like, you know, I came from privilege. He came from nothing. So I looked at him and I was like, if this guy can do it, bro,
even
I
you
need
coming
to
from privilege,
push my buttons, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel like there's always that one person who just pushes you completely. It's not like a mentor thing. Sometimes it is a mentor, but sometimes
no, but
it can be a
it's
friend
just
as
surrounding
well.
yourself with the right people, right? Like, for example, bro, I grow every week, you know, like there was one week where I had lunch with Ahmed Bengati. He's the vice chairman of Bengati. He's the one that runs the Sukuk. The same week I had dinner with Bacha. The same week I had lunch with another UFC star. And in that 1 week, I grew so much as a person because you had met me before that. If they don't know, you had met me for a brief second. And I think the person you're meeting today is a much different Jonathan
literally
than you
just
met
a few
literally
weeks.
2 weeks ago.
Wow.
You know?
No, so that just shows how much you're growing and even how your network grows constantly.
It's very important because
over the weeks.
You know, I asked Ahmed Bengati the same question. I asked him, what would you do? What would you tell yourself at 25 or 26? He told me he would take more risks because if you come from a place where making mistakes is affordable, make as many as you can.
Yeah. Speaking of the Bengatis, I think you're quite close to them, to the entire family. How did you meet them initially? Like,
I have nothing but good things to say about that family, honestly. I've known the Bengatis for almost 7 to 8 years now, since like 2018, 2017. And I'm very close to Abdullah, who's similar in my age, but I met Ahmed, I met Mohammed, I met their father also. Amazing people. Nothing but good things to say about them. Very respectful, very down to earth, very smart, humble, and I try to get as much wisdom and experience or even study them as much as I can whenever I'm with them.
And the Bengatis, I feel like 7-8 years ago, they've changed their name completely. Like now they're probably, I think, the biggest developer in Dubai or second biggest.
Developers. They're the biggest trendsetters.
You saw them on the rise. So were you with them or along this? Like, were you with Abdullah?
I was close to Abdullah. We were friends, but I think our relationship became stronger when we started working together as well in the last few years. Because like I said, if you're not adding value to someone, that relationship kind of fades out. I mean, you can be friends, right? I'm sure you have so many friends as well, but you're only close to the people that add value to you, not in terms of money, but in terms of any situation, whether it's helping you with your fitness, whether it's helping with your addiction, whether it's helping with your XYZ. So with Abdullah, we became really close in the last couple of years, and they've always been, as they are now. It's the money doesn't change them, but they've really worked hard to be where they are. So I give them their flowers and I give them their props every time I see them.
And I think also knowing them has helped you with your network because you're able to connect such a big name, household name to
it works really well for me because even when I met Kamaru, I had told him about the Bengatis and that's how I got him to meet Ahmed Bengati at lunch at Arts Club and obviously that helped me also take my personal level or my relationship with Kamaru on another level. And with them, bro, like I'm very open. We're very chill.
It's a very casual.
It's a very casual relationship. I talk to Ahmed on WhatsApp. Abdullah, I call him every now and then. And we're friends, before business or anything like that.
And speaking of Mohammed, because he's I think the CEO of Bengati, I've seen some of his interviews. I've seen some of his
he's a fascinating guy, no?
It's a very mesmerizing sort of speeches.
Guy.
What have you, let's say, taken away from him? What's something you've learned from him over these?
I mean, bro, anytime I'm sitting in a table with him or sitting with him, bro, I'm in awe of this person. I feel like he is the perfect example of a successful businessman, and he's such a young guy as well. He's not even that old. But every time I sit with him, I just try to be quiet and listen. I don't even want to ask too many questions, but I just listen because when he speaks magnificently.
And I think he's done kind of a similar approach with the networking because he's first Bugatti building, first Mercedes, first Jacob & Co. Like, it's all network at the end of the day.
And fun fact, he's the architect also behind all these buildings.
Oh, really?
He works hand in hand with them.
Wow.
So it's a very personal touch that he has. So he brings a lot of personal touches to that business. That's why it's so successful.
So he has an architectural background.
Everything they have is in-house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he has an architectural background. Yeah, he studied architecture.
Wow, that's crazy. I actually didn't know. I thought he was an architect.
No. He worked very closely with the top 3 companies to design those buildings.
Wow, that's insane. Okay. No, that's great to hear.
That's how smart he is, though. That's the thing about Mohammed. Is like you can't. you won't know until he tells you, you know, and he doesn't
Yeah.
speak that much about himself unless it's to do with business. But
Of course.
really, I'm always in awe of this guy.
Yeah. No, I've seen, like I said, I've seen some of his Instagram clips, and it's like you were like, you
He's
sit
a
there and
perfect
admire.
example, bro. He's a perfect example of a businessman. You know?
You sit there and admire.
I truly
You-
believe that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've seen some pictures with you and Khamzat. You know, I think he just recently won the championship.
Yes,
He got the
yes.
belt.
He's the champ now.
He's crazy. He's crazy. What a guy. Is he as scary in person, or does he have like
I'll
a very
be very
down
frank
to
with you.
earth?
When I met him, we were like, our group of people were like 15 people, bro. He came with his manager, Jonathan, and he just walked in the room. He shook every single one's hand in that whole room. Everyone. I'm not even saying the cameramans, the helpers, whatever. He shook everyone's hands. He sat down, eyes quiet. It was very hard to break him, but
Yeah.
Ansh, he's an amazing interviewee, and he always does his research. So it was very easy for him to break the ice with comes out and get him talking. But really, he is also a very, very cutthroat person. You could tell the vibe as soon as he enters in a room. But he is also one of the most amazing and nicest people we ever came in touch with.
So that intensity of, you know, we've seen during fights, it's
completely different in person. It's completely different in person.
Okay.
He's a very nice guy. He loves Bollywood.
Yeah.
He
Really?
He loves Bollywood. He wants to come down to India also. He loves Bollywood. He
Yeah.
was talking to us about Bollywood.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of these fighters that come out of that side of the country, they really grew up with Bollywood being in their livelihood or their childhood, you know. So it's very easy for us as Indians to connect to them because that's that factor.
The Bollywood
that, you know,
connection.
the Bollywood
Yeah.
connection. They asked about Shah Rukh Khan
Yeah.
or Salman Khan or something
Yeah.
like that.
So, yeah. Did you connect him with Bacha? Does he know Bacha at all?
No.
He doesn't know Bacha.
No.
Because Bacha's a rapper. It's a bit
Bacha.
separate.
These guys are like OG, like, you know, like
Salman Khan.
like
Shah Rukh
OG
Khan.
old movies, you know, growing
Yeah.
up when they're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5, 6.
The Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gums and
Yes,
stuff.
yes. Kabikushi, Veer Zara and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's also something you can also work in your favor by, you know, bringing him to India. That's where you're from, so you know you can try to propose that deal with him and take him there. I think so. That was a very like brief kind of.
It was a
meeting, I'm
brief
assuming?
meeting. It was a one-off meeting, but I still think he's an amazing guy, you know. And that was before he became champ. That was during the fight with in Abu Dhabi against Robert.
Okay.
Where he broke the guy's jaw.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was like 5 days before that.
Wow.
But you know, still to him, props to him, amazing guy. That's the thing with these athletes, you know, like their discipline, their hunger, their mannerism is something that I try to understand. They might not be as successful when it comes to money, and a lot of them actually are, but what you can get from them in that aspect of being as successful in a dangerous sport like that, even if I get 1% of that, that would make me a better businessman. I'm taking it.
Of course. You know, you guys come from a very different, let's say, career path, very different personalities, very different backgrounds. Did you find it difficult to kind of build that connection with him?
I mean, with Kamaru, I don't think it was that difficult because I feel like Dubai is a place where all of them let their guard down, right? And it's also one of the places where you can meet a lot of people organically, you know? And I'm not saying you meet always the right people, right? Like he met this other guy also that he was telling me about that was just a total waste of time. And that's my point, you know? Dubai is a place where if you don't try it, you're never gonna know, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure. So has Usman come to you for any sort of, let's say, networking opportunity? Have you reached out to
We're
him?
working on some stuff with Usman, but I've introduced him to a few really, really good people already in Dubai. So I think my relationship with him is more personal
already
than it ever
built.
was. In 1 week, you know, we talk on WhatsApp. He calls me on WhatsApp, and I'm trying to sort some other things out for him next year as well. And when he comes back in October,
Yeah, and I think through him you could probably maybe even potentially meet other fighters.
that's
other
how
people.
it works, right? Like,
That's how
adding
that's how
value,
your
bro.
network
That's
system.
how it works, right? If
Yeah.
we're not adding value to each other, what's the point?
Yeah, no, for sure. How important has your friend circle been? You know, you spoke about one of your friends who really kind of pushed you to do this. How important has your friend circle been to you?
I think it's
improving
really
this mindset
important,
as well?
brother. It's really important, and I'll name two of my friends as well. I'll name Ansh and I'll name Lohan as well. And I think they've really helped contribute to me personally, not in terms of business or not in terms of money, but in terms of the way they see life and they see different aspects of life. And I think I took a lot from that. Even my friend Ansh, the way he talks, the way he conducts his business, the way he conducts his relationships, I try to not mimic, but I try to take all the good things from that and I try to apply it in my life, and I try to do it with all my friends that are successful or trying to be better, you know, because a lot of people don't try anymore. They're okay with life and they're okay with working a 9 to 5.
So then when it comes to your personal relationships, what are some of the values or qualities that you're looking for before you bring them into your circle? Like
genuine people.
What do you
bro.
avoid?
Genuine. Just I think ever since COVID or ever since like short form content and taking in all this media through your TikTok, through your Instagram, through whatever, it's kind of changed your mindset, right? And with me, I think with identifying stuff with individuals I meet, I'm very big on energy.
Yeah.
I'm very big on genuineness. I'm very big on if your energy is open or if your energy is closed, because you can sense it 5 minutes into talking to someone, and if it's not, then it's not worth it to put time.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important. So do you apply this to your closest? Would you say this is how you
I met all my friends. I've met in the most randomest place, bro. I met friends in the gym. I met friends playing football. I met friends from school. You're the first person I'm sitting with again after staying in school, right?
Yeah.
The most randomest places, right? And we've kind of grown into being very personal and very like close with each other, and it's all about being genuine and not insecure, I think, because if you can't see your friend doing better than you or striving to do better than you, because at the end of the day, bro, I wish for all my friends to do well in life, because at the end of the day, if they're doing good, me knowing them is more than enough, like you can only have so much in life,
Yeah. When it comes to your personal friendships versus, let's say, your business relationships, you've talked a lot about the value of having a relationship. If there's no value, there shouldn't be.
I don't do business with people I don't like.
Okay.
It's as simple. I don't care about the money. I don't care about.
So even if
who
it's
they
someone,
doesn't matter.
Someone super influential,
doesn't matter. I don't do business with that. People I don't like, I don't do business.
So if you feel like you don't connect with them, it's over.
No, because bro, if I'm gonna sit with you and I can't stand you for 2 minutes, I'm not gonna make money with you.
Yeah,
it's as simple. I'd rather save my energy into someone else I meet who I like.
Yeah,
like I said, bro, people buy from people they like, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's a relationship. It's as simple. If you can't come across relatable or likable, don't be into business.
So then when it comes to your friendships and again the business opportunities, how do you create a business opportunity without first becoming their friend? Do you get what I mean? Because if you're
I don't think about business at first. It's never about money.
It's always
I have money. I'm okay with money. I don't need money. That's the thing. That's why it's never opportunist, It's always organic, because I don't care about how much my friend is making. I don't care if he's successful. I'm happy for him. That's my best friend. More power to him. But I'm never ever gonna think about money before a relationship first.
No, I think that's very true, and I think that's really probably helped you a lot in
100%
making your network what it is today.
100%.
So I think moving on a little bit past you and maybe going back into some of the Dubai aspect of things. Someone listening moved to Dubai today. A lot of people say move to LA, work it out. There's this really famous Logan Paul video where some guy quit his job and he goes to Logan Paul and he's like, and Logan just tells him, go move to LA. You'll figure it out. I feel like Dubai is really becoming that city now where you just move to Dubai and figure it out.
I agree. But
where should they start?
I'll say this to the camera, bro. If you have no plan and you have no ambition and you have no drive, don't move to the city, because the city is made for hustlers and people that want to kill it in life.
Do you think there are some events that have happened in Dubai, or some of the industries that you've worked in or been part of, or even like some daily habits that have helped you build this kind of your these connections or this networking skill, let's say?
I think discipline comes in a big factor with this. I think energy. I think your surroundings really matter. If you wake up in the morning and you have the sun hitting you and your family is good, their health is good, you're not waking up to people screaming, you're not waking up to people fighting, it's that start in the morning that gives you a good boost to the day, because energy, like I said, is very important. If that negative energy costs me my peace of mind, there's no point of me being there even for 1 second.
Now, when it comes to, I guess energy is one thing, but then I want to talk a little bit about, let's say, the activities. Something like, let's say, golf or tennis. There's very high profile people that play these sports.
I don't believe in this. I really don't believe in this, because I met some of the most successful people on Counter-Strike, bro.
Yeah.
So what is tennis? What is golf? I'd never play golf. I play paddle. Paddle's a good sport. I play football. I met one of my good friends. He's a real estate agent. Done more than $500 million in sale. I met him on football.
Football, just a random
playing
football.
Random football. I never wanted anything from him. He didn't want anything from me. But we just became friends.
So you wouldn't like say, oh, if I'm playing golf, it wouldn't.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Okay, no, fair enough. I think based on your interactions.
Bro, like I'll tell you a funny story. Right? I was in the gym in my building once, and this Indian American guy called Amir, he runs a startup that's valued at more than $100 million, right? And he was living in the same building as me in Marina at that time, and he was going through a very difficult time in his life. All right, And he attributes a lot of change to his life because of that meeting with me at the gym randomly,
Really?
where he came up to me and at first he thought I was an Arab guy, so he was just like, oh, by the way, hey, how are you? I'm Amr, I'm Indian American, etc., etc. I told him I'm also Indian, bro, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hit it off. We started talking. He told me about his experiences in Dubai, all the struggles he's had with his businesses, all the struggle he's had with people necessarily not treating him right in terms of business. And I kind of spoke to him in a personal level, and I told him, bro, you're hanging on to something that's falling. Leave it, start something that's better. Because if you have all this network, if you have all this ideas, you know, why not? And now he runs a successful startup.
Okay.
You know, he's back in New York, running a successful startup, coming back here in Dubai. He just got a baby as well, so congrats, Amr.
You know, I guess like everyone has their own approach to when it comes to networking, and everyone has a different way of building it. But I do really like.
I don't think you can box it to golf and tennis, like you said, because, bro, you could meet the nicest people randomly, you know. And coming back to my point, I want to double down on that, is that if I make a good impression on you, you will go on to think about me as this person that if you ever have an opportunity that you think would fit me, you would call me in a second.
Yeah, it's really good to hear. But then I guess maybe my last question about you.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, what's that one connection that completely changed your life? Would you say it's your friend?
I think it's my friend, yeah. Because
What's his name again, sorry?
Lowen.
Lowen.
Like I said, I'm gonna double down on this again. I was in a point in my life where I was okay. I was making good money, better than most people. Wasn't ambitious. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open this company. I'm gonna do the construction, and that's it. Like, I'm just gonna focus on that. And I was like, at one point in my life, I was just focused on the construction, just the construction. I was like, I need to make this happen. And I was kind of like losing the fact of the bigger picture, that I could do this and I could do that as well, right? And after I met him, it kind of pushed me to that mentality to say, like, you know, why not, right? Even with my other friend Ansh, like I really respect both these people, because even when he wanted to meet Andrew Tate, right? He was the first Indian guy to do a podcast with them, and he was the first person to actually ask some intellectual questions. I don't want to box him as that Indian guy to do the podcast with them for the first time, but he'll tell you, and I'll tell you, it took him 1 year to do that. It took
1 year of working.
1 year to get to Andrew directly, you know, and this guy didn't give up.
And he just kept going,
Like,
until he actually.
He came to Dubai. He went to London. He came to Dubai 3 times just to try. But a lot of people, see, that's the thing with insecure people, right? They'll try to take advantage of that situation. They'll try to charge you. They'll try to gatekeep. They'll try to.
It's like transactional.
Exactly. But he tried for a year, you know, and that really taught me, like, it taught me, like, dedication, like I was saying with these athletes, bro. If you really put your mind to it, you know, why the fuck not?
Yeah. So then this takes me to the final thing, and I want you to say it to the camera as well. If you were to give one piece of advice for someone who really wants to build a powerful network in Dubai, what would that one piece of advice be?
Never think about money first. Always think about making an impact on people.
Nice.